She believed her wealth was an invisible shield, a force field that repelled consequence. It wasn't. It was a spotlight. Judge Frank Caprio saw everything. This is what happens when you bring arrogance into a temple of accountability. The gavel becomes a teacher. The bench becomes a mirror. A wealthy businesswoman, Victoria Thorne, age 47, entered a municipal courtroom thinking it was a drive-through for justice, a place to pay a fee and move on. She was about to learn it was a crucible. Her expensive clothing, her sharp haircut, her diamond-studded watch meant nothing here. The only currency was truth. The only power was respect. She had none. Watch as every assumption she held about her own importance is dismantled, piece by piece, by a patient judge with infinite authority. The air in Providence Municipal Courtroom No. 2 is thick with fluorescent light and lingering coffee smell. It is 9:15 in the morning. The docket is packed with minor offenses, a broken taillight, a parking violation, a noise complaint. Then the double doors at the back swing open. Victoria Thorne enters. She is 5'9", with a posture so rigid it seems practiced. Her hair is a sleek silver blonde bob cut at a severe angle. She wears a tailored cream-colored pantsuit made of a wool silk blend that whispers money. A simple, heavy platinum necklace rests at her throat. She carries a cognac-colored Birkin bag, not by the handle, but tucked in the crook of her arm like a scepter. Her heels, nude pumps, click a precise, impatient rhythm on the linoleum floor. She surveys the room with a slow, dismissive scan, the worn wooden benches, the tired public defender, the citizens in their casual jeans. Her lips purse in a faint expression of distaste. This is beneath her. Judge Frank Caprio, from his elevated bench, watches her approach the podium. He sees the way she places her bag on the ledge, a territorial claim. He sees her check the time on her delicate Patek Philippe watch. He notes the absence of any file, any notepad, any sign she prepared to participate. She is here to dictate terms. The clerk, a woman named Maureen with 30 years of service, reads the charge in a clear, flat tone. Case number 4-7219, the City of Providence versus Victoria Ann Thorne, charged with 1 count of speeding in a designated school zone, alleged speed 45 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. Officer Michael Garrity present. Officer Garrity, a broad-shouldered man in his 50s with a neat mustache, stands to the side, his hat under his arm. Judge Caprio adjusts his glasses, offers his customary opening smile. "Good morning, Ms. Thorne. You've heard the charge. How do you plead?" Victoria Thorne does not meet his eye. She lets out a short, controlled sigh, the sound of someone dealing with an incompetent subordinate. "Let's just get this over with, shall we? How much is the fine? I'll pay it immediately. I have a closing on a commercial property at 10:30. This is a significant inconvenience." Her voice is cool, clipped, devoid of any inflection of respect. It is a statement, not a request. The gentle hum of the courtroom vanishes. An elderly man in the front row stops fanning himself with a pamphlet. A young lawyer pauses her note-taking. Maureen the clerk looks up, her eyebrows raised. Judge Caprio's welcoming smile does not disappear, but it changes. It becomes fixed. The warmth in his eyes cools, replaced by a sharp, assessing focus. He leans forward slightly, his black robe rustling. The dynamic has irrevocably shifted. The speeding ticket is now a secondary concern. The primary charge, unspoken but felt by everyone, is contempt. The real hearing has begun. The first foundational truth of this courtroom and of true justice is absolute equality. The bench is the ultimate leveler. Your net worth, your social connections, your brand of watch, they are invisible here. The only visible things are your actions and your attitude. Judge Caprio embodies this principle. He does not react to her attempt to commodify the process. Instead, he leans into the substance she ignores. "A school zone," he repeats, his voice measured but firm. "That's a very serious designation, Ms. Thorne. That means children, maybe 5 or 6 years old, could have been present, crossing the street, getting on a bus. Do you have any explanation for why you were traveling at that speed in that particular location?" Victoria Thorne finally looks at him, but it is not a look of engagement. It is a look of incredulity. She places one manicured hand on the podium, her French-tipped nails gleaming under the lights. "An explanation?" she echoes, as if he's spoken in a foreign language. "I was late. I had a 9 a.m. contract negotiation that ran over." The deal involves a 12-story downtown development. This traffic stop, and now this procedure, is disrupting a timeline that affects dozens of contractors and investors. She gestures with her other hand, a small circular motion that encompasses the entire courtroom. This, she states, is not where I should be. The micro-tension in the room crackles like static. Will he chastise her? Will he raise his voice? The audience holds its collective breath. Officer Garrity shifts his weight, his jaw tight. Judge Caprio does the opposite. He becomes preternaturally still. He removes his glasses, sets them down deliberately on the bench. This small action is more intimidating than a shout. It means he wants no barrier between his judgment and her. I see, he says, his tone dangerously quiet. He turns slightly. Officer Garrity, tell the court about the stop, please. Officer Garrity steps forward, his voice a steady baritone. Your Honor, I clocked the vehicle, a black Mercedes-Benz S-Class, at 48 miles per hour on Elmwood Avenue at 8:17 a.m., directly in front of the Juanita Sanchez Educational Complex. School was in session. Flashing lights were active. When I approached the driver's side window, Ms. Thorne lowered it only halfway. I requested her license and registration. She handed them to me without a word. Then she produced a business card from her purse. She said, and I recall verbatim, all further communication should go through my attorney, Harold Finch. His number is on the card. I do not have time for this today. Her tone was dismissive, Your Honor. This testimony reveals the second core value. Your character is not revealed in your boardroom victories or your charity galas. It is revealed in the small, unscripted moments of accountability. It is shown when you are inconvenienced, when you are stopped, when you are told no. That is the naked truth of who you are. Judge Caprio absorbs the officer's words, then turns his gaze back to Victoria Thorne. His eyes are like dark pools, impossible to read. Is that an accurate recollection of the event, Ms. Thorne? Did you conduct yourself in that manner toward a police officer performing his duty? A faint, condescending smirk touches Victoria's lips. It is a reflexive expression, born of a lifetime of talking down to people she considers service staff. Officer, she says, not to the judge but to Garrity, as if correcting him. I provided the legally required documentation. I offered an efficient path to resolution. I failed to see the issue. This theatrical retelling is unnecessary. Just tell me the amount of the financial penalty. I can write a check right now. Or, she adds, a new layer of disdain in her voice. Does the court have a direct wire transfer system? I can have my assistant send the funds before I leave the building. She lets out a single sharp laugh, a ha sound that hangs in the dead air. She briefly glances toward the public benches, as if expecting a ripple of understanding, of shared frustration with bureaucracy. No one smiles back. The faces staring at her are stony, some openly hostile. A young mother holding a toddler on her lap shakes her head slowly. Judge Caprio does not react to her offer of payment. He simply leans forward, resting his elbows on the bench, steepling his fingers. The power dynamic is now visually, painfully clear. He is above, literally and figuratively. He is anchored in the solid oak of the court. She is below, standing on scuffed linoleum, clutching her bag like a life preserver in a sea she suddenly doesn't understand. Her arrogance is not a tool here. It is a liability, and it is isolating her completely. The third major point crashes down with the weight of inevitability. Disrespect is never an accident. It is a series of conscious choices, a choice to ignore a greeting, a choice to belittle an officer's duty, a choice to treat a court of law as a petty cash line. Each choice builds the case against your character, brick by brick. Judge Caprio now addresses these choices directly. His voice drops lower, but gains a resonant quality that fills the silent room. Ms. Thorne, he begins, each word precisely enunciated. Let me be very clear. This is not a bank. This is not a billing department for the city of Providence. This is a court of law. You are not a customer. You are a defendant. You will show respect to this police officer. You will show respect to this court, and you will show respect to this process. Do you understand? The command is absolute. Victoria Thorne's mask of bored superiority finally fractures. Her eyes narrow. A flush of angry pink creeps up her neck, clashing with her cream-colored jacket. The insult to her ego is too direct, too public. Respect? She fires back, her voice rising half an octave. I have built commercial empires from vacant lots. I employ over 200 people. I sit on the board of 2 hospitals. I think I understand the concept of respect and responsibility far better than this traffic court spectacle implies. I don't need a lecture on decorum from you. The personal attack hangs in the air, toxic and shocking. Connect this to your own life. Have you ever felt a flicker of impatience with a cashier, a flash of irritation at a customer service agent? A thought that your time was more valuable than theirs? This is that seed, fully grown into a monstrous, entitled tree. It is ugly to behold because we recognize a distorted version of our own worst impulses. Now the 4th point arrives, and it is a twist that shifts the entire proceeding from a verbal reprimand to a physical confrontation with authority. Judge Caprio, maintaining an almost superhuman calm, proceeds to outline her legal options, trying one last time to guide her toward a lawful resolution. Ms. Thorne, you have the right to plead not guilty and have a trial. You can plead guilty and accept the fine. You can also, if you wish, discuss the possibility of performing community service in lieu of a fine. Those are your choices under the law. He is handing her a ladder out of the hole she's dug. She does not take it. She cuts him off before he can finish the sentence about community service. I've heard enough, she declares, her voice loud and final. This is absurd. A waste of civic resources and my time. I'm leaving. And with that, she acts. She snatches her Birkin bag from the podium. She turns her back, a profound symbolic gesture of dismissal, on Judge Frank Caprio. She begins walking, her sharp heels clicking decisively, toward the large wooden doors at the rear of the courtroom. For a full 2 seconds, there is only the sound of her footsteps and stunned, disbelieving silence. Then the room erupts in a unified, gasped inhale. The elderly man's mouth drops open. The bailiff, a large man named Lou, immediately steps away from his post by the jury box, his body tensed. Even Maureen, the clerk, who has seen everything, puts a hand to her chest. No one simply walks out. It is an unthinkable breach. Judge Caprio does not stand. He does not pound his gavel. He simply speaks her name. Miss Thorne. The 2 syllables are not yelled, but projected with a depth of authority that seems to vibrate in the very floor. It is the voice of the state, of centuries of jurisprudence, of consequence itself. It stops her physically, as if she hit a wall. She freezes, her back still turned, 6 feet from the door. Her hand is outstretched toward the metal push bar. You will turn around, he continues, the command ironclad. You will return to the podium. You will do so now. If you take one more step, or if you touch that door, I will hold you in direct contempt of this court, and I can assure you, you will not like what that means. The threat is not vague. Contempt means handcuffs. It means a holding cell. It means the total, immediate revocation of her freedom. Her designer bag hangs limply at her side. Her shoulders, which had been squared with purpose, slump almost imperceptibly. The reality, physical and terrifying, finally penetrates. This is not a negotiation. She cannot fire him. She cannot buy her way past that door. She is subject. The law is sovereign. The choice is gone. The 5th and central lesson is the moral core of the entire confrontation. No portfolio, no pedigree, no power justifies a failure of basic humanity. Success that erodes decency is the ugliest form of poverty. Victoria Thorne, her face drained of its earlier flush and now pale, turns slowly. The defiance is gone. In its place is a dazed confusion, and beneath that the first cold trickle of fear. She walks back to the podium, her footsteps now slow, dragging. The click of her heels is a defeated sound. The silence she returns to is thicker, heavier than before. It is the silence of judgment being rendered. Judge Caprio lets this silence work. He makes her stand there, exposed, for a full 10 seconds. He makes her feel the weight of every pair of eyes, the weight of her own catastrophic miscalculation. Finally he speaks, his voice calm but carrying to the farthest corner of the room. Have a seat, Ms. Thorne. It is not a request. She sits in the single straight-backed chair beside the podium, perching on the edge as if it might be dirty. She places her bag on her lap, clutching it like a shield. Judge Caprio looks at her, then lets his gaze sweep across the public gallery, including everyone in the lesson. You have money, he states, a simple fact. You have status. You have professional achievements. Good for you, truly. But you have failed the most fundamental test. You have failed to be a decent, courteous human being. You disrespected a police officer for doing his job, protecting children in a school zone. You have disrespected this court, an institution people have fought and died to preserve. And you have disrespected every single person in this room today who also has jobs, who also has important things to do, but who have taken time to come here and be accountable for their mistakes. He pauses, letting the indictment sink in. The truth is not just spoken, it lands in the room, tangible and sharp. Let us review, he continues, his tone that of a professor delivering a final, critical summation. 1. This courtroom is the great equalizer. Your world stops at that door. 2. Your true character is not shown in your triumphs, but in how you handle being held accountable. 3. Disrespect is a deliberate, costly choice. You chose it, repeatedly. 4. You are not a special case. The rules apply to you just as they do to the person who cleans your office or fixes your car. He leans forward, his expression grave. This is the climax, the point of maximum weight. And 5. The most important point. Your legacy, Ms. Thorne, is not your bank account. It is not the buildings with your name on them. Your legacy is how you treat people when you believe there is nothing they can do for you. It is your kindness to the receptionist, your patience with the waiter, your basic civility to an officer of the law. That is your footprint on the world. Today, you showed a profound poverty of spirit. Today, it mattered. Victoria Thorne does not look up. She stares at her hands, clenched tightly around the straps of her bag. Her earlier aura of invincibility has completely evaporated. She looks small, hollow. The buildup is complete. The tension has been wound to its absolute peak. The legal finding for the speeding ticket is now a foregone conclusion, a triviality. The real sentence must now address the deeper crime, the crime of arrogance, the crime of believing the rules were for other people. What possible judgment could restore balance? Judge Caprio picks up his glasses, puts them on, and looks down at the file before him. The formal ritual returns, but the context has been permanently altered. In the matter of the speeding violation, I find you guilty. The standard fine is $200 plus court costs. Victoria Thorne nods mechanically. A flicker of relief passes over her face. This is the language she understands, a monetary transaction to end an unpleasantness. She opens her bag, retrieves a checkbook with a leather cover and a gold pen. She begins to write the date. However, Judge Caprio says, and the word is a cliff edge. Her pen stops. She looks up, her eyes wide. However, he repeats, your behavior before this court today went far beyond a simple traffic infraction. It was contemptuous. It was a willful disregard for the dignity of these proceedings. Therefore, as a separate sanction for your direct contempt, I am sentencing you to 40 hours of community service. He pauses, letting the word service hang in the air. You will report to the Providence Department of Public Works, Parks and Recreation Division. You will be assigned to a crew. You will pick up litter in our city's public parks. You will wear the provided safety vest. You will perform the work for the full 40 hours to be completed within 60 days. Your compliance will be reported directly to this court. Victoria Thorne stares at him, her face a mask of utter disbelief. Her mouth opens slightly. Public Works, she whispers, then finds her voice. Picking up trash? Your Honor, with all due respect, that's absurd. My skills, my company, there must be a more suitable... Judge Caprio interrupts her, his voice leaving no room for appeal. I'm very serious, Ms. Thorne. You need to see firsthand the people who do the essential work that keeps this city clean and functioning. The work you so clearly consider beneath you. You will join them. You will perform it. Maybe you will learn something about humility, about dignity in all labor. Maybe you will not, but you will do the service. He lifts his gavel, a simple wooden tool that now holds the power to redefine her life for the next 60 days. This court is adjourned. He brings the gavel down. Bang! The sound is shockingly loud, a period at the end of the sentence. It is over. The synthesis is crystalline and brutal. Responsibility has zero correlation with wealth. Accountability is the only true currency of character. You can be the wealthiest person in the city, but if you lack basic respect, you are morally bankrupt. The finest clothing cannot cover a bare soul. Here is the question to leave with you, a question that echoes long after the gavel's sound fades. When was the last time your own position, your pride, or your perceived privileges made you forget the fundamental humanity of the person in front of you? This was a masterclass in consequence from Judge Frank Caprio. For another unforgettable lesson in accountability, watch what happens next in our featured video. See the moment a furious, heartbroken father stands before the judge, not to fight a ticket, but to confront the teenage bully who pushed his son to the brink. The father's shocking request will stun you. Judge Caprio's groundbreaking ruling will redefine justice. Watch it right now.